burning down pretty good now. Just wasted all this time and effort. Let's give this another shot. Hello, welcome back to another episode from Pale Horse Survival and Tactical. I'm Bill, glad you could join me. Today we're going to do a little springtime foraging here in the valley. Stay tuned. Yeah, welcome back. I'm not in the mountains, obviously. I'm down in the valley, and it is springtime, and everything is beginning to grow. Creek that runs along this area here. I come here the last couple of years and do some foraging. I have a few places that I hit that that has pretty good abundance of wild edibles. Right here in front of us, all of these pastel flowers here are wild radish. Excuse me. This is called Raphanus raphanistrum. All of these flowers here. Raphanus is a Greek word which means it comes and goes quickly. So this is a springtime cool weather annual. Makes an appearance, and it'll be here until the weather starts to warm up, and then it starts to die back. It'll set seed. The seed pods are the radish pods. They taste exactly like radish. In fact, this is the wild cousin of our domesticated radish. This is what the domesticated variety was derived from. I'm trying to see if we have any seed pods here. You can see the little, you can see the beginning. These seed pods will come out and they'll be kind of segmented, and they can go up to about a ½ inch to an inch in length depending on the plant. It's still pretty early. These are pretty young specimens here, and I'm not seeing any pods as of yet. That's what I usually harvest. Now, all parts of this botanical is edible. You can see the leaves. They're very deeply lobed. They're toothed. You can eat the leaves too. They're kind of like a mustard leaf. Kind of hot. They make a pretty good green. And this will grow before it flowers. It'll be in a rosette form, and you look for the large toothed leaves. Try to find another one here. And the flowers are cruciferous. In other words, the flowers are cross-shaped, and if you look, you'll see veins and the leaves. It's another way to identify this. So what I'll do, I'll probably harvest a few leaves. And when you harvest, it's a good view of one of them with kind of the purplish stem. See, the flowers haven't even all the way opened on this yet. There's a pretty good leaf here. I'll probably harvest a few leaves. And since I'm just casually harvesting, I don't really need it as a food source. I just harvest a few here and there for my salads. And when you harvest, always, if you're not in need of the food, if you're in dire straits and you need the food, then take what you need, obviously, in order to survive. But if you're just casually harvesting, don't get greedy, just harvest, and don't strip plants completely bare. Just take a few pieces here and there. Now here's one that hasn't flowered yet. It's the flowers right at the top here that haven't opened. But you can always identify this with these deeply lobed leaves here. So I'm just going to grab a few, and I can always come back here within a week. The honeybees love these flowers as well. Now obviously the smaller flowers are going to be a little more tender. So I'm just going to grab a little bit here and there. And these have a little bit of a spice to them, kind of like a mustard leaf. So that's one plant that we're going to look at today, and we're going to head down the trail here. I'll put these in my foraging bag. Foraging bag on my belt here. That's also good for hunting. Here's some more Raphanus wild radish. This is you can see the flower pods. These are all young specimens. I'll grab another leaf here. Make a nice addition to the salad tonight. There's a lot of it out here. You can see it. It's all poking up out of the grass. Some really, really healthy looking. It's really nice looking Raphanus here. The foraging bag works good for hunting as well. You can put game in there, get a squirrel or whatever. It's big enough to hold a squirrel or two. That way you pop them in there and your hands are free to continue hunting or to carry your hunting implements back to your camp. Some more Raphanus here that's flowering. This whole area will be covered with it. You can see back, this whole section will just be covered with it. Some more here. So when they're young, they don't have they're green stemmed. They get bigger and the stems will turn purplish colored. Grab a couple more here. I think that'll be good. So we're going to do some more foraging up the trail here. Grab a camera bag and let's continue on. So Small Raphanus. Just trying to give everybody the view of it. And it's in its infancy stages. Some more right here. It's all over out here. You can eat this raw or cooked. There's the flowers, the unopened flower pods on there. Oh, here we go. This is Plantago. This is Plantago lanceolata, or also known as Plantago minor. It's very medicinal. In the old days it was known as ribwort. You can see these very prominent ribs here. Very heavily ribbed on the undersides. It's very, very medicinal as a poultice for wounds. It's very antibacterial. And it's edible. I'm not going to harvest any of this. That's not what I'm after, but this is a foraging, a little mini foraging hike here. Here we go. Here's another, it's another Plantago. It's a Plantago lanceolata. Lanceolata means it is lance-shaped leaves. It's an elongated leaf. Now Plantago major has more of a round, not exactly round, but it's not lance-shaped leaf, but always just flip it over and look for those ribs. It's very prominent ribs on the underside. It's very, very, very simple to recognize this, and this will also send up seeds. The seeds can be placed in water, and they can, you stir it up, it'll turn dark, and that's a really soothing liquid for the throat. It's antibacterial, it's good for sore throats. Now this has a very, you can see how they vary. There's no constants in nature. There's always hybridization between plants, and there's always variations even within the same species and subspecies. You flip that over, you can see the very prominent ribs there. This is one of the 7 magical herbs in Anglo-Saxon herbology. And there's some more here. These are some small ones. Having to keep an eye on my pickup. I'm parked. You'll probably hear some traffic, and I am in the city, and that always comes with people and racket and unfortunately thieves, so I have to keep an eye on my 4-wheel drive over here. Here's Stellaria media. This is Stellaria media. And I am going to pick some of this because this is one of my favorites for salads. And always be kind. If you're not after the root specifically, just pinch it off. Leave the roots intact, and don't pinch it off all the way at the ground. You want to leave this intact so that you can come back and forage at a later date. But also it doesn't destroy the plants. Always be respectful and reverent when harvesting, and that always comes back to you in positive ways. Stellaria media is also known as chickweed. That 10-pointed star, or 10-petaled star, Stellaria is the Greek word for star, and it has an opposite branching pattern. All parts of this is edible, and it has a very nice alfalfa flavor. There's a lot of it down here. Some Raphanus, wild radish here. More Raphanus back here. I mean, it's a supermarket out here, it really is. And this will go in the foraging bag as well. get enough for probably 2 or 3 salads. And I just spotted another wild edible in here, which we will discuss shortly. I'll return back here in probably a week and do a little more. There's a whole stretch along here, so I'll be grabbing some more, doing some more foraging over the next few weeks. This is all I'm going to take from this one location. I don't want to over harvest the spot. It's down the trail. There's some more, a couple more big mats of it. In amongst this is, where'd it go? Here we go. It's another wild edible. It's called Gallium aperine, commonly known as Cleavers. You have to boil this for 2-3 minutes. Blanch it, because this has, if you run your fingers on here, it wants to stick to you. There's a reason for that. On the underside are little tiny hairs, and I don't know if the camera is going to pick those little hairs up. Hopefully it's picking those up. Those little hairs, believe it or not, were the inspiration for the invention of Velcro. Hook and loop Velcro. Here's more Cleavers on the stem too. This one really grips. You might be able to see the hairs on this one because it's bigger. There we go. Little tiny hairs. So the plant almost feels sticky, but it's not. Now this is a measure that the plant has developed over a period of time. Grabbing a little bit of chickweed here for the pouch. Over a period of time, it developed those hairs as a method to propagate its species. Passing animals, or even humans, passing by there, the plant breaks off very easily. And watch out for the horse poo here. The plant breaks off very easily, and it'll stick to the fur of an animal or even to pant legs. If you walk through this can grow in large mats up to a few feet high. It'll stick to you, and that's how it'll transport itself from one place to another, using that animal as a means to propagate itself. Some plants use seeds that are light, like dandelions. Trees use seeds that'll drop out and helicopter off with the samara, the papery sheath on the seed, and they use that to transport it away from the parent plant where it can root and grow new plants. Well, this plant will use animals or even humans as the vehicle to transport itself from one place, from the parent plant to its new home. So it'll fall off, and then some of these will root into the ground, and it'll grow new plants. And we have Claytonia perfoliata. This is miner's lettuce. This is one of my favorites. Absolute favorites. It's a very interesting botanical. It's very succulent. Excellent taste. It's another cool season. Springtime annual. As soon as it gets hot, it'll die back. It'll go to seed and die back. You can eat all of this raw, even the stems. It's a very interesting plant though, because the stem grows right through the center of the leaves. I'm going to be harvesting some of this down the trail. There's some larger patches. There's only a few right here, and I don't want to take any from here. Now here's some more Gallium aperine, the Cleavers. It's a pretty good patch of it right here. You don't want to eat this raw. It'll, with these little, they won't poke you, but it'll feel like you're chewing on a green Scotch Brite. You'll recognize that right away when you start trying to eat it. Now here's a bunch of Claytonia, miner's lettuce. Pretty good patch right here. And more Claytonia. I believe there's some more down the way here, larger patch with larger leaves. These are still, oh, these aren't too bad. I'll grab a few of these. These are really good. I'm gonna eat one right now. Unbelievably tasty. Absolutely love this. I look forward to it every year. If you've never tried it, you don't know what you're missing out on. A lot of young miner's lettuce down here, juveniles. There's a bunch of it down back there in the ditch. I can see it. There's a whole lot of it growing back in here. Positive identification is key. Never try to eat anything unless you're absolutely sure what it is. And if you're new to foraging, you really should apprentice yourself with an experienced forager in your area that's used to your botanicals in your geographic location. There's that little ditch running along there. There's a whole bunch of it down in there. Some more Claytonia and Stellaria. This is bull thistle here. Cercius vulgar is the Latin name. You can, ooh, got poked. It's thorny. There's thorns on the ends of the, and they always have this reticulated white pattern here on the leaves. Now, Cercius has a 2-year life cycle. This is the rosette form, the first year rosette form. The second year it'll shoot up a stalk. These can get pretty big. It'll branch out with a lot of leaves. The leaves can get huge, and they'll have the same, well, they have the spines, but they'll be a lot bigger. They'll have this white reticulated coloration. All parts of it are edible, but you do have to trim the thorns off, or at least cook it until the thorns are no longer stiff. It's better just to go and trim the margin of the leaf. This is the national flower. The thistle flower is the national flower of Scotland, incidentally. There should be some larger specimens out here. And the stalks can be used as hand drills for primitive fire making and even bow drills. There's more. Oh, here we go. More chickweed. And we have some curly dock over here, Rumex crispus. So this looks really good here. And you want to make sure it looks healthy, and also make sure it hasn't been sprayed. They don't spray through this area, and this can grow in very thick mats. And I'm not going to take a whole lot. I'm going to get a little more Claytonia up here. And go ahead and wrap things up. This is curly dock here. Rumex crispus. It's in the buckwheat family. And it's easy to identify. It always has the sword-shaped leaves. With the wavy leaf margins. Always has the wavy leaf margins. If you ever see a field full of this stuff, and it has the seed heads that grow up and then they turn rust colored. There'll usually be a lot of them out in a field. I have a video on the channel where I harvested the seeds and processed them and demonstrated how to cook them, and they weren't too bad. Here's some more curly dock. Curly dock's very nutritious. You can eat the greens, and they're actually good at this young age here. I'm not going to grab any. I'm not out looking for any curly dock, but all parts of the dock are edible. Now down here we have some larger Cerceus bull thistle, and this is also in its first year rosette growth cycle. Actually, there's a whole lot of it through here. So next year this will all grow up. They'll get pretty good size. They can get 3-4 foot tall. There's a lot of it over here. Here's some more curly dock. That's a very young curly dock right there, showing off its rosette form. A lot of bull thistle. A lot of it through here. I don't see any with the second year growth cycle. Some more Cerceus. We'll grab a little more Claytonia. Ooh, ran right into a tree branch. That's what I get for looking at the view finder here and not where I'm going. A lot more Cleavers here. Gallium apiarine. We have some blackberries in here. More blackberries. These are young vines. That roar that you hear is freeway not far from here. And lots of bull thistle. A ton of it through here. So the parents, it tells me the parents were here and flowered, and their seeds were broadcast. bull thistle here. Some more cerceus, more stellaria, chickweed, and we have a lone claytonia, which I'm not going to harvest there because he's all by himself. Give him a chance to proliferate. Here's some curly docks, some more rumex over here. Some nice ones. And we have a kitty cat back here. Heard something moving. He's back here in this big tangle of blackberry vines. There's a curly dock. It's a nice looking one here. This is when the leaves are actually at their best. Actually, I think I will harvest 2 little leaves for my salad. A decent little amount here. More bull thistle over here. Well, I don't think one of those will fit in my foraging bag. Here's my truck. There's a lot of it out here. Just another curly dock. Rumex crispus. It's a very juvenile rosette here. Lots of edibles out here. More claytonia. Not a lot of it though. I'm going to go up here where it's thicker and grab just a little bit more. There's more curly dock I'm spotting. Grab a little more of the stellaria here. Some really good looking stellaria. Oh, there's another good patch right there. Snack on some of this right now. It's got a very mild alfalfa flavor to it. It's really good. Once you taste it, you'll never forget the flavor. It's very pleasant flavor. We've got a lot of juvenile claytonia down in here, and more chickweed. An oak gall here. I have several of these. These make good fire tender. Long match, I did a video on those, and fishing bobbers. And also the white galls are loaded with tannins, tannic acid. Which is very antibacterial, antifungal. You can use it as a body wash. Grab a little bit more of this Claytonia here. Another curly dock here. It's a young dock. It hasn't started to ruffle yet, the leaf margins. Mustard plant. And a lone mustard out here. You can powderize that gall, oak gall. And steep it in some warm water. The water will turn the color of bourbon. You can use that as a mouthwash, body wash, hair wash, clothes, a wound disinfectant. Works very good in that aspect. Yeah, I got about half a pouch full here. This is just casual foraging, so I'm not going to get greedy, and I can always come back here and never want to over harvest. Like I said, if you're desperate for the food, then that's a different story. If you're starving, then obviously take what you need. The juvenile Raphanus here, wild radish. I'll take these back and rinse them off in a colander. Put them in the crisper drawer. I got enough there for a couple of days. Well, I'm not seeing anything else that catches my eye. It's a nice oak. It's a nice oak forest out here. These are Quercus lobata, valley oaks. And they're deciduous. They haven't set leaves yet. We got oak galls up here. Oak galls are caused by the gall wasp. It'll lay eggs on a branch just underneath the bark. There's a hormone in that. As the larva starts to grow, it's a hormone that accelerates the meristematic cells, the cambium layer. That causes an accelerated growth of the meristematic cells, and that forms this cocoon. And the gall wasp forms inside this cocoon, and when it gets big enough, there's a hole right here. It gets big enough, it'll tunnel out and spread its wings. Wings dry, and it takes flight. It leaves behind this porous, very light. I've used these as fishing bobbers, primitive fishing bobbers. I'm actually not going to take this because I have several at home, and in my preps I even have some in my fishing, my tackle box. They work pretty well. So that type of thing. back up here among the wild radish, Raphanus. Looks like that's probably about all of the edibles, different varieties that I could spot out here. There's some native grasses growing out here. When these seed heads mature, you can gather these seeds, make flour out of them. You have to winnow the chaff from the seed, and you can make a cereal out of it. It's quite nutritious, actually. Here's a different variety of grass. Some of them aren't worth going after. These are pretty juvenile. If they're big enough, like the ones we just looked at, they produce some pretty good size. Pretty good size seeds, like wild wheat. Some downed oaks through here. A lot of building materials. Some more juvenile Raphanus. There's a ton of Raphanus in here. It's all through here. Within a month, this will all be 2 foot tall, 3 foot. There'll be a sea of flowers. The few flowers that you see right now are the early bloomers. And I'm spotting some Claytonia. Some Claytonia down here. Foliata, that's the miner's lettuce. And a little bit more chickweed. A little bit more stellaria. Ah, here we go. Some good looking Claytonia here. I don't want to go too far from my truck. I am in town and there's unfortunately a lot of thieves. The 1989 very modified Toyota four-wheel drive truck. I've got a lot of tools and spare tire. I'm just going to grab a few of these. Fortunately, there's a lot of opportunists that will steal anything. Sad what society has become. It's not the society that I remember as a child. We've always had problems, even back in my younger days, but not like it is now. Some tall rushes here. Those have a lot of uses. Basket making and mats. Make a primitive loom. Bind those together. A huge oak here that's come down. Loads of building materials out here. Tons of it. It's a good sized tree here. One of the important things that I teach my students is observation. Learning to, it takes a lot of years to train your eyes to recognize resources. that all of that hinges on learning the resources that are around you in your particular area, the wild edible plants, the medicinal plants, their herbal uses, and building materials, whether it's rock or wood. Rock is one of the wood is one of the most common. The mosquitoes are getting me out here. Wood is one of the more common building materials. And being a good woodworker and working with wood and being able to craft with it is a huge requirement for bushcrafting and survival. Let's see what's over here. A lot of juvenile Raphanus. A lot of it is going to be coming up over the next month. Might even shoot a follow-up video. Some water down there, but it doesn't, that water does not looks very brackish. More than likely because of all the oak leaves. And of course people have to throw garbage in there. More than likely from all the oak leaves. Oaks contain a high level of tannic acid, which is another way you can derive tannins, not just from oak galls. Tannins are very common in nature. You can derive them from botanical sources, but extremely brackish water. Since there's so many oaks around here, I'm going to say that the oak leaves have leached their tannins into that water there. And with that degree of tannins, there wouldn't be any fish life, any aquatic life in that. I certainly wouldn't attempt to drink that. Too much tannins will damage your kidneys. You have to be very mindful of that. Very small amounts are medicinal. Too much are not good. Here's another Rumex. Young Rumex. It's curly dock. And you can see the ruffled leaf margins once again. Very easy way to identify. That botanical. I don't see any Sonchus out here, which is kind of surprising. That's a very common one. And Taraxacum officinale, which is dandelions. Sonchus is also in the dandelion family. And I think that's probably about as much as we're going to get out here in this location. A lot of rushes out here. Oh, here we go. Good find. This is Plantago major. We just looked at Plantago minor, or lanceolata, which has the elongated, more narrow leaves. This is Plantago major. Same plant, just different leaves. And of course you look for those very prominent ribs on the underside of the leaves. You make a poultice of that, put it on a wound. It's very, very highly antibacterial. And also has a very strong drawing action. It'll draw poison from a wound. It's been used for, oh God, probably centuries. Now this is Plantago lanceolata. You can see the narrow leaves, and of course the ribs. And there was one that we looked at a little while ago, such as this. This is also lanceolata. And these are small ones. It's a good looking one here. It's very green, very healthy. This will have a high level of medicinal constituents. It's really good coloration. You can tell by looking at them. The plant looks really healthy. That's good. If you're out foraging, you obviously don't want to harvest sick plants, diseased plants. Here's another one. This is very narrow. Of course, always look for those ribs there. Well, I think we got everything we could over here as far as identification goes. Everything that caught my eye, and this would be nice if it wasn't here in the city. Traffic noise and people and everything. So I much prefer the mountains, but it is what it is. Being springtime, everything's growing out here like crazy, so I just wanted to shoot a quick video and a little foraging video there. I was actually going to shoot one I think a year or two ago and never got around to it, so just happened to have my camera gear with me and was passing by this area, and also wanted to do a little foraging myself. So, but give you a peek of the foraging bag here. Goes right on the belt, and it actually folds up and then it clips, and it's in a very small little package, kind of a leather strap, hinged flap that goes over, and it snaps and everything. Found it online. I think paid like 15 bucks for it, and the bag is really super heavy canvas, and I figure, you know, if I'm ever foraging in hot weather and I need to keep some botanicals cool, I can soak the bag in water, being cotton canvas, and it'll evaporate. It's got a drawstring on the back, on the top edge, on the lip. It'll evaporate and help keep the produce cool on the inside. And of course, it's not just for botanicals. I put acorns in there, berries. Well, those are botanicals too, but the greenery is what I'm referring to, or whatever else I'm out looking for. Need to free my hands up. And also figure it'd be good for hunting small game, you know, a bag of squirrel or whatever. I can pop it in the pouch and it frees my hands up to continue hunting or carrying my gear back to camp. So I'm pretty happy with it for 15 bucks. I can't complain. Anyways, guys, I'm glad you could join me on this one, and I hope all of you are having an outstanding day or night, depending on where you're located. And I'll see you all very soon on the next one. Also want to let you guys know, YouTube has changed their algorithm. I don't get a lot of messages, so when you guys comment on videos, I always don't get notifications on that. Actually, I probably get notified on maybe a third of the comments. I don't know why that is. Their notification system is kind of shaky, so oftentimes if I don't respond, I don't even know that it's there. Sometimes I'll go back on old videos and I'll see a whole bunch of comments that I was never notified on, and sometimes a couple years old. So I'll go on there and I'll reply to some. So I'm not being rude or anything, but not getting back to you guys. Also, my channel is not monetized. I don't make any money doing this. It's just a labor of love. But their algorithm has changed, and they're putting commercials on the channel now, so that's none of my doing, and I'm not making any money off of that. So I don't know why they're doing that for it, but anyways, I didn't want any of my old subscribers knowing that I swore I wasn't going to monetize my channel, then to see commercials thinking, oh, he must have lied or whatever. No, I didn't. That's strictly YouTube doing that type of thing. So anyways, guys, I'm glad you could join me on this one, and I've got a lot of great videos planned this year. Hopefully I'll be able to get to them all and nothing major happens that interrupts my filming schedule. Usually it's either a heavy work schedule or my truck breaks down or mechanical issues, and that winds up setting me back. So as long as everything goes good, I'll be able to get up to the hills. And we had a huge storm that brought down a lot of trees. I've got a lot of building resources up there. I'm going to be harvesting a lot of things and taking them to my camp. And I have a lot of really cool projects planned this year. Some of them are a little more involved. So I'm going to try and get in some overnighters too. My work schedule's been crazy, so I've only been able to get day trips in. And I'm dying for some overnighters, so let's see if I can get some of those in as well. And I have a student now too. He was supposed to be up with my last video, the last one I shot, but work intruded on his schedule as well. So hopefully he's going to be appearing in some videos as well as time goes on. So anyways, guys, have a great evening, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.